Hello everyone, and thanks for watching the Cardinals Nest here on HBC Channel 25. Dean Beckman along with Sports Information Director Donny Nadeau back for another Cardinals Nest. And Donny, it's family weekend this weekend at St. Mary's, so a whole lot of activities. And later on during the program here in the interview portion, we have on a couple of students from the Theater Arts Department. They're involved in the theater production this weekend called Fallen Angels. We'll have Caitlin Murphy and Allie Fish on. We look forward to talk to them, and that's just one of many activities going on this weekend.
Yeah, and one of the other ones is obviously the Fall Frolic, and in that one we'll have the Fallen Cardinal as I attempt to run the Fall Frolic. So we'll have a Fallen Cardinal, and we'll get to talk to the Fallen Angels. So it should be a fun show, and you know, you and I have talked off camera a number of times that we're broadening the scope of this show, and obviously it's a sports related show, but it's going to be fun to have those two on and to talk a little bit about the upcoming production and really what goes into a production like that, because I find it very interesting.
Yeah, and so we'll do that in about 10-15 minutes. But first, we'll talk about the past week in St. Mary's athletics, and what a game it was. We'll start off with women's soccer. It was the win that almost was, and what a win it would have been if it would have occurred.
Absolutely.
St. Mary's taking on nationally ranked McAllister, and they had the lead for the majority of the game and just did let it slip through their fingertips at the end. An overtime win for McAllister.
Yeah, it's one of those games. I talked to Coach Zimmerman after the game, and he just kept repeating, "This one hurts. This one hurts," because they did have it. It was probably the best game he's seen his team play in the 2 years that he's been the coach, and they played for 78 minutes. It was they were the better team, and came up. They got a bad break in the 78th minute where they had called for a foul in their own box. McAllister got a penalty kick out of that. That's how they tied the game and sent it into overtime. And then about 9 minutes into that first overtime session, they scored the game winner on what Coach Z said was just an awesome shot from about 25 yards out. So he took nothing away from McAllister, but it's one of those that one call really turns a win, which would have been a huge win for he and his club into a tough loss. But I think if nothing else, they can certainly find the silver lining in that they took a nationally ranked team, an MIAC power for years in McAllister, and they took them right to the end. And I think that hopefully as that pain settles a little bit, he'll realize that that's a really good stepping stone for them, and that we can play with the best in the conference, and hopefully now as they get ready for Saturday against St. Catherine, they'll take what they learned from that game and apply it there, and hopefully pick up that win against the Wildcats.
Right, and hopefully Mariana Sanchez doesn't feel too bad about it. She's the goaltender, but the goal that tied it, I believe, was on a penalty kick. And then the game winner was just a rocket shot from what I had heard.
Yeah, Coach Z, both goals, there's nothing Mariana could do. I mean, a penalty shot, if you don't convert those 99.9% of the time, there's a problem. You're standing there, 4 yards out, with that big giant net. So, no, obviously, Coach Z was certainly not gonna say that either of those goals was the fault of anything really that St. Mary's did. But it's one of those things that happens. They get called for a foul, and no matter what time of the game it is, ref's got to call a foul. If there's a foul in the box, it's a penalty kick. So there was really no no argument or nothing. It was just an unfortunate mishap, and those things happen. On the positive side, obviously Amy Civic did score St. Mary's goal. That's her 10th goal of the year, which is just 2 off of her career best. She had 12 goals as a freshman. So after 7 games, for her to have 10 goals already, that's a great start for her. And that's what they need. They need her to really step up. And we talked about that at the beginning of the year. She's been their leading scorer the last 2 years, and obviously I think she's going to be the leading scorer for the next 2 years. Right. So she needs to continue to do what she's doing, and she needs to keep getting help from from her teammates, and hopefully they can start getting some of those wins for their effort. And that loss to McAllister it's a tough one to lose, but you can obviously find a lot of positives in it.
Yeah, it was in St. Paul. That was another positive aspect. So now this weekend they're at home to St. Catherine Saturday at 1 o'clock, and hopefully they can get back on their winning ways.
Yeah, I think that's going to be one of those games that I know last year they got beat by St. Catherine 3-0, and Coach Z it was one of those games that they did not play very well. And I think that the one thing they have learned this year is that they've got to bring their A game every single single time they step on the field. And thus far they really have. They've played some very good soccer, and you take a couple minutes here or a couple minutes there out of a couple of the matches, and every game has been right there. And so I think that he's feeling pretty good about where they're at, but he does know that it's very important for them to get that first conference win, to really get that monkey off their back, and to start getting some of those wins in the conference play rather than just in the non-conference.
Right. Speaking of non-conference, on Tuesday the men traveled to Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. They took on Marion College and came away 2-0 winners. Bobby Gass getting a goal for St. Mary's in that one, along with Steve Busey. So the Cardinals now even on the season, 500 with that non-conference win.
Yeah, it was a good win for them, and kind of like the women, they needed to get things rolling again. They had lost 3 games in a row, and for them to travel all the way to Fond du Lac, which is not an easy trip, get off the bus, play a night game, and play very well in what Coach Dembeck said were terrible conditions, rain, and
yeah.
It was rainy and windy and kind of cool, not easy conditions to play in, and he was very happy with the way they battled those elements and still played one of their better games. And to come away with a 2-0 win, obviously anytime you can get a win, it's really good. And for John Safransky, the St. Mary's goalie, to get his 3rd shutout, senior year, he's just having a phenomenal year so far. And
he makes it look too easy, Donnie. I mean, he really does.
Yeah, he's playing very well. And I think part of that, that ease is that he's very confident right now. His defense in front of him is playing outstanding, and obviously he's playing very well. And the more you build that confidence, the easier sometimes it makes it look. And I think that we talked earlier. He set the school record for saves last year with over 150. He's not going to get even close to that this year because defensively they're playing that much better. He's averaging about 5 or 6 shots a game, which is pretty normal for a soccer game. And when his defense can give him only 5 or 6 shots to face rather than the 10 to 12 to 15 that he was facing last year, your chances of keeping the team off the board are much better.
Yeah. Is it back to conference play now?
Actually, no. They have 3 more non-conference games this week.
Okay.
They've got Upper Iowa on Friday, and then they also play at Lakeland on Sunday. So this week will have been a stretch of 4 straight non-conference games, and then they get back into conference play next week.
Okay, all right. They look forward to that. Hopefully getting to ratchet up some more non-conference wins here. And Mike Lester's volleyball team, they had set the bar pretty high as far as tournaments were concerned, going 4-0 in the 2 previous tournaments that his team was in. And this past weekend they were at the Simpson Invitational, went 2-2. Hopefully not too much of a disappointment there for Lester's team.
I don't think so. I had to go into his office on Monday and actually apologize. I said, I think we jinxed you. Yeah. We had Mike on the show last week, and they went out and they lost their MIAC opener to Augsburg 3-2, then lost the first 2 matches at the Simpson tournament, and then they did rebound and play very well on the second day. And no, I don't think he was too terribly disappointed. He was nervous about playing Nebraska Wesleyan again, an outstanding team, and going to be one of those teams that's going to be battling for a regional berth. So he knew that was going to be a very tough match. And when you've got to play the host school on their court in Simpson, he knew that was going to be difficult as well. I think that what disappointed him was that they lost both of those matches 3-0, because that was a little bit of a disappointment. What he was very happy with is that he turned around on Saturday. They won a hard-fought 3-2 match against Northwestern, a team out of the cities, and then they faced Bethel, which they'll face again in conference play later on in the season, and they beat them 3-0. And I think that match, more than anything, kind of talked about how good the MIAC is going to be. You talk about your 6 degrees of separation. Well, St. Mary's lost to Augsburg 3-2. St. Mary's beat Bethel 3-0, and Bethel had beaten Augsburg the day before St. Mary's beat them 3-0. So it's going to be one of those kind of seasons where
topsy-turvy.
Absolutely, every team's going to be right there. So I think that the fact that they turned around, bounced back from those 2 losses with 2 wins was really what made Coach Lester happy. Obviously, he would have loved to have gone 4-0 again, but I think that he knew as well as we did that eventually you're going to have some losses along the way, and when you lose to good teams, it's not quite so bad as when you lose to teams that you should be beating.
Right. So, yeah, good competition there at the Simpson Invitational, and back to conference play from here on out, probably?
Pretty much so, yep. They'll play one more non-conference tournament, the Border Battle, which is not this weekend but next weekend, and that's really a tournament that pits teams from the MIAC against teams from the Iowa Intercollegiate Athletic Conference. So it's a really neat, a neat tournament that you actually have to be in the top 8 in the conference standings at the end of the year to qualify for that tournament. So obviously,
good competition.
Finishing, yeah. It'll be a great tournament. And until then, they've got a couple tough conference matches beginning Wednesday night. They take on number 6 ranked St. Thomas. So you go from Augsburg, a 3-2 loss, and now you got to face one of the best teams in the country.
Right.
It's going to be a tough road for them.
Yeah, and not many home matches either. I think next week they've got some home matches, but they've been on the road quite a bit. It'll be nice to get them back in the St. Mary's Gymnasium.
Absolutely. We've had great fans. The attendance has been fantastic. The volleyball's been awesome to watch. So I know that, as much as you hate to have to go on the road like that, I know Mike really enjoys coming home and playing in front of the home fans, and hopefully when we do get back home next week on next Wednesday, actually, they'll play in front of a very good crowd.
Right, and the contest on the 30th will be right here on HBC Channel 25. It'll be broadcast, so chance for people to see the Cardinals volleyball team right here on HBC. Women's golf now, Donnie, they had a tune-up, I guess, so to speak, for the Minnesota Intercollegiate Athletic Conference Championships, which are coming up, and didn't perform too badly. They were especially pleased with the performance of one of the players.
Yeah, Caitlin Ritzie had an outstanding 2 days. Their tournament, they played in the Carleton tournament, and that was up at the Jewel in Lake City, which is a really beautiful course.
And a lot of teams too.
Absolutely,
right?
It was a huge tournament, and that's good for the Cardinals because they need to get used to that because in 2 weeks when they're at the conference championships, you're gonna have 12 teams there, and it's going to be a big deal. And this was a good kind of gauge as to where they were at. And Caitlin had a fantastic weekend. She started out with an 85, turned around with an 82 the following day for a 167, and her 82 was the 4th lowest score that St. Mary's women's golfer has ever had. So that was really great for her to do, and that's really what she's capable of doing. Is she's capable of putting that low number up there. And I think that if you talk to Coach Stengel, the key right now is he needs her to put those numbers up for the following 2 weeks. He needs her to put them up this weekend at St. Benedict, and then he needs him to put those kind of numbers up the following weekend at the conference championships.
Right.
And if she does, there's no reason she couldn't be in the top, at least the top 20, maybe even the top 15, and be all conference.
Right. The other players shooting rounds of 90, Brittany Nielsen, Gia Pooch, just to name a couple. So they're looking to lower those scores.
Yeah, those numbers have got to be lower, and Jeff knows that, and the players know that. It's just they were playing at a course that they'd never played before in the Jewel, and that makes a big difference. You can't really prepare how you want to play a hole if you don't really know what the hole is all about. So they've all played at the conference championships at Bunker Hills, and they played. Everybody that'll be there this year has played it last year. They'll play another practice round this year, so they'll be ready for that, and that will make a difference having played that course before.
Yeah. Last weekend, the men were in the St. John's Fall Invitational, and they're also, starting to tune up and prepare for the MIAC championships. How'd they do in St. John's?
Actually, they did pretty well. I know that again, their scores still aren't as low as Coach Stengel wants them to be, but as he always says, golf is not a sprint; it's a marathon, and you just got to keep grinding things out, and that's kind of what they're doing right now. They're grinding things out. They're getting that game in tune, and they're working hard every week as they play these tournaments. It's good experience, and it's really good practice because they've got the conference championship. That's what they're really focused on, and if they can use these tournaments to gain that experience of playing in tournament play and getting their games honed up, I think that will be just fine. I don't think Jeff even looks at where they're placing in these tournaments or whatnot. I think he's just focusing on, are you playing good golf? Are you getting are you making mistakes that you shouldn't be making? Are you mentally ready to go? And come early October, they'll be hopefully peaking at the right time as they get ready for the conference.
As we've talked about before on this show, even though it's a team sport, it really is an individual performance based. And,
absolutely.
And that makes golf, as a coach, you've got to focus on the individuals, worry less about the team as a whole, because things will fall wherever they fall.
Right. Each individual's got to do their part, and then that just brings it together as a team. So hopefully they'll be ready. They've got one more tournament this weekend at St. Olaf, and then next weekend they're both teams are up at Bunker Hills for the conference championship.
All right. And cross country was off for both men and women, but they're preparing this weekend for the Roy Griak Invitational.
Yeah, which is a huge invitational up at the University of Minnesota. And I know that as we talk about golf, it's the same thing with cross country in that Coach Barrett is looking for this kind of an invitation where there's just going to be tons of people, and it'll give our athletes a good experience of what it's like to run in that kind of, just confines of constant people everywhere you go. And I think that when you do that, it gives you a good experience as to what you're going to do when you get to the conference championships. Because again, that's what they're pointing for. They've got 2 meets that they want to set their whole season toward, and that's conference and regionals. And you get a training week, and then you've got this week that they'll compete. Then they'll have a training week, and then they'll compete. And hopefully by the end of October, they'll be right where Coach wants them to be.
Yeah. All right, Donnie, thanks for that sports update. When we come back here on the Cardinals Nest, we'll bring in Caitlin Murphy and Allie Fish to talk about the student theater arts production of Fallen Angels. That's next here on HBC.
These days, everyone's talking about saving the environment.
And at HBC, we're doing the little things that you can do that really make a difference.
Like recycling our bottles and cans.
Or shutting down our computers at night to help save electricity.
Or setting out bins for our excess paper waste.
And even something as simple as turning off the lights.
At HBC, being green is just another way we're helping to build a better community.
For more tips on having a green lifestyle, visit our website, my.hbci.com/green.
And we're back here on the Cardinals Nest. Dean Beckman, Donny Nadeau, and we're joined now by cast members from this weekend's theater arts production student performance of Fallen Angels. And I guess we have the 2 fallen angels right here. We have Caitlin Murphy and Allie Fish joining us. Thanks for being on the Cardinals Nest. A little bit of a different production for you. It's not a on-stage production. It's, I guess, a different kind of stage from what you're used to. Yeah. But Caitlin, let's start with you, and just tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, what your major is at St. Mary's, maybe how you ended up at St. Mary's, and how you got interested in theater.
Okay, I'm Caitlin Murphy, and I'm from Cannon Falls, Minnesota, and I'm a senior at St. Mary's, and I'm a theater major, but I'm also an English major, so I have a double major going on.
Sure. Keeps you busy, right?
Yes, it's very, very busy. And I sort of got into theater in high school. I was in a lot of productions there and took like the drama class along with all my English classes and other stuff.
Right.
So I just wanted to continue it when I went to college, and I knew going to St. Mary's that I wanted to be a theater major. So
sure.
I just started right away with that.
Now, are you able to combine the English with the theater? Do you write scripts at all or anything?
I'm in the playwriting class right now, but it's so different.
Very
because
different,
with English it's all about like the essays and the prose, so it's interesting to switch to the new mindset of like writing dialogue and thinking about the set and stuff. So I can use the English major though in theater, especially when like analyzing the script and stuff. It is really helpful.
Well, at least you know when a comma's out of place, right?
Yeah, grammatically check everything.
Allie, how about you? Tell us about yourself.
Okay, I'm a senior theater major. I'm from St. Paul, Minnesota. And I started theater in grade school, way back in the day. We did I went to a private school, so we did all biblical shows.
Okay.
It was a lot of fun.
And now you're a fallen angel.
And now I'm just, forget all that, no.
Yeah, great. And how'd you land at St. Mary's then?
Well, my sister went here. She just graduated last year, actually. She was a super senior.
Right.
And I visited her a couple times, and I just kind of fell in love with the campus and heard that they had a great theater program. So
yeah, great. And now, as for both of you, now what other plays have you been in as far as acting and performing, sort of on the stage?
Well, we've been in a lot. Like I've been in stuff since my second semester freshman year.
Oh wow. Okay.
Probably one of my favorite shows that I was in was one called Red Rider, and Allie was actually in it too.
It was such a fun one.
Like 2 years ago, right?
Yeah.
It was a really good show.
The same thing, second semester, I think, is when we really started. Second semester freshman year.
Tell us a little bit about the production this weekend. Tell us a little bit about Fallen Angel.
Well, it's a comedy, so it's going to be a lot of fun. It's written by Noel Coward, set in the 1920s. It's in London, so it's very sophisticated and fun, and you get to see us have a good time on stage, I guess. So.
Well, what are your roles in this particular comedy? Who do you play?
I play Jane. She's in her early to mid-20s, and she's pretty high-strung, and you get to see a lot of that throughout the show.
All right.
So.
I played Julia. She's also in her like early to mid-20s, and she's a little more calm than Jane. She always tries to keep herself reserved, and she's sort of the controlled one, but she totally like loses it a couple times during the play. Like they just both bring each other into like this hysterical state. So,
do those roles at all match your real life personas? That's what I'm curious about.
We're not neurotic at all. No.
All right, and there's a guy involved, right? That's
is.
one of the
There's
main parts of this play, right?
Yeah.
So tell us the guy's role. What is he, a protagonist, an antagonist?
Well, you see, we're both married, and we've been married for about 5 years, but we both had an affair with the same guy. This man, yes.
Yep.
This
okay.
debonair Frenchman.
And do you each know that, or does it come as a surprise?
We do know.
I don't want to give the whole thing away, obviously.
Yeah.
No, but yeah, we both had an affair. I had an affair first, and then she had it after, and we know that we did. But then so we've been married, and then all of a sudden, out of the blue, we get a postcard from this man that we both had these really passionate love affairs with, saying that he's going to come visit us, and we haven't seen him in 5 years, so that's the main
plot
problem. Yeah, in the play is like, what do we do? Are we going to give in when he comes, or how should we prepare?
Sure. It sounds terrific. I mean, it sets up perfectly for a comedy, and it sounds like very fun roles to play. So.
Yeah.
What has been most challenging about this play for you compared to some of the others you've been in?
It's the first play that I've been in that I've really had to have a dialect. We both had to learn British accents for it, so that was kind of challenging.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's a lot of the show, especially the second act, it's mainly just us two on stage. And so I found the lines, like tackling the lines with the dialect is also pretty challenging.
Is it troubling going from a British accent back to your life as an American student? Do you sometimes forget you're not British?
I hear people in British accents now. I don't know why. It's like, where's he? I don't know.
Every other word is bloody, right?
Right, yes, bloody.
Yeah. But, I mean, I would find that because I know when you're on the stage, you're very much in your role, and you are that person. And then to step outside of that, I've never been an actor, but I would find that very difficult. So.
Yeah, there's different techniques, like we do like breathing exercise and stuff to help step out of the role. But yeah, with the accents, it is kind of funny because you work so hard to like change all your bends to bean, and all that sort of stuff that sort of in the everyday life it'll slip in a little bit accidentally, but.
Tell us about the theater arts department itself. Who's directing this play, and who else has some major roles in this one?
Well, Judy Myers is directing it. We've got our lovely stage manager, Tim Schmall, and then designers. We've got Fluffy Blake doing. She did the lighting design.
Kit did the set. Kit Meyer did the set.
Yeah.
Okay.
And costumes.
I
are lovely.
You designed the costumes.
I did double duty.
What kind of research did you do to get back into the 1920s mode?
A lot of
just looked at Donnie's wardrobe.
Red collared shirts. Yeah, that would be good.
They're 1925. Yeah, no, it was just a lot of like looking up pictures from 1925 and just doing. Just like how clothes developed in that time period, the dresses were very like just sort of tubes. They didn't really have much of a form because women were trying to be more like equal to men. So the short haircuts and the little short hats and the tube dresses were really big in 1925.
Yeah, and now it sounds like the theater arts program encourages people at freshman year to get involved. I know you just mentioned you were involved from the very start. That's got to be nice as part of the whole program to have the senior students working with the younger students.
Yeah, they really want to get everyone involved in all aspects of theater.
We actually have 2 freshmen in the show with us. Both of our husbands are freshmen, so it's really nice to have like new people to work with.
Yeah. What about the curriculum? How does the theater arts curriculum at St. Mary's tie into the productions? I know there's a whole slew of classes that you have to take. You mentioned the script writing class that you're in now. How does the curriculum build to help students take part in the productions?
Well, there's I think it's first semester, there's script analysis. First semester freshman year, where you just really, you read a lot of scripts and then you just learn how to analyze them. You do character work, do a bunch of basically analyzing what goes into a script and what makes up these certain characters. And then we have like acting classes, got intro to acting, voice and movement, many different, kind of like going off of any type of theater.
Right, okay. Yeah. Do you get some costuming and design?
Yep, I took a costume design class. They're really good about giving you, like teaching you about every aspect of theater, so then you sort of know about, like, if you're an actor, like when you're on stage, you know, like, oh, why the designer put this rug here, like you kind of have a better feel of how it all fits together.
Sure, I would imagine there's no wasted space, and everything on stage has a very specific purpose for where it's at and the fact that it's there in the first place, right? What about the dates for this show? How long does it run, and how do people go about getting tickets for it?
Well, it starts this Thursday, actually, so tomorrow night at 7:30. Yeah, and it runs till Sunday with performances every night at 7:30, and then on Sunday it's at 3 o'clock.
Right, and there we have on the screen, the number to call to inquire about tickets. Now, I would imagine the Friday, Sunday shows, especially with it being family weekend, fill up pretty quickly, and so you want to call and try to get those tickets now if you can.
Definitely.
How about, do you do student productions yet in the afternoons at all? I know once in a while for some of the shows they'll bring some elementary school students up for some of the productions.
Yeah, unfortunately we don't have any of those this time around.
Okay. Yeah. But well, it sounds like a lot of fun, and you're going to be busy. A lot of promotional aspects. Obviously, you're promoting it on this show and all of the other stuff going on. How do you balance that with all of the classes that you're taking? I would imagine you have a pretty full load of classes too, with all of this promotional stuff and the play.
Yeah, you don't sleep. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, it's tough, I'm sure, especially during the week of and in the few weeks leading up to it, right?
Yeah, it gets pretty busy. There are a lot of late nights. Doing the homework.
Well, and I know, the fall show too. That's the shortest time you have to prepare for all than compared to all of the other plays. So, Caitlin Murphy, Allie Fish, thanks for joining us here on the Cardinals Nest. Have fun this weekend.
Oh, thank you.
Thanks.
All right, stay tuned. Donnie and I will be right back to promote some more family weekend events right after this on HBC.
Do you ever feel like you've got too much paper in your life? Well, HBC understands, and that's why, as part of our Going Green program, we're offering electronic bill paying to all our customers. Instead of receiving your bill in the mail, you can now view your statement on our my.hbci website and make your payment from the convenience of your computer. Or you can still stop by at HBC and pay in person. After all, we always like to see you. Online bill paying at HBC. It's fast, easy, and now paper-free.
And we're back to wrap things up on the Cardinals Nest. We just told you about Fallen Angels. Plenty of other activities, though, for Family Weekend this weekend at St. Mary's University of Minnesota, the Winona campus. And one of the events is the SMU Jazz Groups will kick off their year with a fall blast. That'll be 6 p.m. on Friday, September 25th in the Filio Recital Hall. It'll be the Jazz Combo 1 and the 18-piece Jazz Ensemble. Also this weekend, the St. Mary's University Concert Band will join the choirs for a 2 p.m. concert on Saturday, September 26th. That'll be in Page Theater. The concert choir and chamber singers are under the direction of Dr. Patrick O'Shea, and the women's choir is directed by Lindsay O'Shea. They will perform works in English, Latin, and African. Tickets are $10 for adults, $5 for students and seniors. And finally, something we've already mentioned, the 22nd Fall Frolic. It's a 5K fun run and walk, and that'll be held on Saturday, September 26th. Registration on Saturday is from 8 to 9:30 a.m. in the Toner Student Center, and the race begins at 10 a.m. You can walk or run and pick Donnie up somewhere along
What
the
I
way.
want to know about that is where the fun comes in, because I have yet to run any race
kind of a
that
tough
was
course,
fun.
yeah.
So.
But you can walk if you need to, Donnie. That's going to do it for this Cardinals Nest. Thanks for watching here on HBC Channel 25.